How you doing, everyone? We've got plenty to talk about in this video. We've got the two games for today with the Dragons and the Roosters, and the Storm and the Warriors. Then we're going to do our little review as well of the first bunch of games, given that it is Monday here and Anzac Day. So we've got the outside backs here, and what we're thinking, well, what I'm thinking here is Melbourne are going to beat Warriors pretty comfortably, and Roosters should beat the Dragons. The Roosters haven't been playing, incredibly well, but this is their game to show against a Dragons team that's been struggling, pretty immensely. So in terms of the outside backs, you've got Pap and Teddy there as potential, high price options. Still not sold on both of them. Pap could have a big game if he actually is, he's going to play. He had a bit of an ankle issue last week, so wait until an hour before team list for that one, which makes it a little bit tough if you're playing this game. If you go on the individual ones, with the 10,000 price pool and the 15,000 for the second one, so you could wait for that one with Pap. But if they dominate this game and score 40 points, he could have a massive one. So he definitely could be a good option for your squad. Manu could have a bounce back game. Had a poor one last week, but the two games before, a couple of tries in each and did really well. Reece Walsh against the Melbourne Storm, probably one to avoid this week, I think. I'd personally be going for someone like Daniel Tupou, who's been completely and utterly consistent over the whole season here, apart from round one. So he's a great option at 12,370. Matthew Fainai as well is a great one at 11,230. Who has been scoring really well. Got 250 odds in a row for Matty there. So he's been a great option for anyone's squad. If you're going a little bit lighter, then you got Moses Suli, had a great game last week, scored really well and could do really well for your team this week. Just be aware that he's up against Joey Manu, who could hold his own for sure in that matchup. So one of those two guys I think could be a good one for your side. Other than that, I'm not really interested in all of the outside backs here. Nick Meaney could have a decent one, or Xavier Coates, against the Warriors there to score a few tries and do well for your team. So that would be that one there. For moving on to the halves hooking position, you've got a couple of top guns here with Harry Grant and Munster. Harry Grant's up about 3k from last time, which is really annoying actually after scoring so well. So one of those guys could be really, really dominant in this one. Or if you want to go a little bit lighter, Jerome Hughes always, when they play really well, he gets lots of run meters, gets tries, and sets up a few as well. So they could be great options. If you want to go a little bit lighter, then guys like Sean Johnson could do a serviceable job for you. Benny Hunt as well. He's due for a bit of a bounce back game. Kind of not showing the stats at the moment, but those kind of guys in that price point, 18,000 or 16,000, could be ideal. McCully could get a lot of tackles in this one. In terms of a bit lighter, you got Sammy Walker, who did pretty well last week at 14,000, who could be a decent option if they put on a bunch of tries. Brandon Smith's probably due for a bounce back game, but it remains to be seen with him still on the interchange bench. And that's all I'd say in the halves and hookers. In terms of the forwards, I'm not really excited by this game. Angus Crichton, I think, is due for a big one. And if you're looking at him, he's been averaging, in that 45 range. Especially now that he's in a starting team, he'll get the 80 minutes again. I think he's due for a try. So 18,670 is not too massive of a salary for him to, for you to plug him in your side. Joshy Curran could also do well again. But in terms of the other guys in here, Joshy King's okay, but a bit expensive. Ewan Aitken as well, up against Melbourne, I probably would stay away from. You got the Bromwich Kafusi, Nelson Asafa-Solomona combo there in that 14 to 15,000 that could be solid. Satili Tupanua I think would be great at 13,920. I think he could do a great job for you this week. He's been hitting that mid 40s kind of range there, and at 13,920 he could do a job for you. And anyone a bit lighter, I'm not too excited about, to be honest. Takaaho has been doing pretty well at 11,870. Just depends how he comes off the bench. If he comes in and plays bigger minutes, he's going to score well and be really helpful for you. If he plays lower minutes, he could score a fair bit lower. In terms of anyone else in the lighter areas, I don't think is a great option there. So I'd probably be just sticking to those guys in these weeks. And if you're going for the individual matchups, you're going to have to plug and play some guys that you're slightly not excited about, but could get a bit lucky, whether it's going cheaper in the outside backs and going a bit safer in the forwards. That could be a solid option for your team. But okay, so we'll move on to my contest here, and we're going to start with the Sharks versus the Seagulls. And positioned in a decent spot here. We had 1,568 play in this one. I went for two entries in this one and made $23. So slight loss on this one, but it was a bit of a strange one. You had to go with the Talakai and Ronaldo combo. Was obviously really, really good, which I did start with, which was very helpful. But then it was around that, picking Nico Hines or Cherry Evans. I unfortunately went with DCE, and Nico got the 89. And then it was just the guys on the bench. McInnes didn't have his best game. I spent a bit of cash on him. Carl Lawton was a great one to pop in at the last minute when he got named in the starting side. And Paseka, one of his slightly lower ones. So, this guy that won it went with Moylan. He would have been a great cheap one to go with at 41 points as well. But really just missed out on the 45 points from Hines there, and I'd be in the top sort of 15 players. So is what is. Happy with my picks, but well done to the guys that won, and Go Good Thing with 3 teams in second position there. So well done to him. We'll go back into the other ones there. A little bit of a tough week actually until last night. So I'll move into the Broncos Bulldogs, and not terrible at 320 out of 1,045 there. And I went for 2 selections as well in that one, and lost both unfortunately. So you win some and you lose some. We saw obviously went all right last night, but this one here. Selected Matt Duffy, he got 54, so he was solid. But if you went for Addo Carr and Farnworth, Staggs was the one I went as a big selection, and he had a poor one. Reynolds, I said, was that must-have, and he delivered, which was good. Paulie Vaughan, a couple of weeks in a row. Maxi King, plugged and played, went okay compared to normal. I went for Matt Bird in my flex, had that bit of extra cash and went for him, and that didn't work out as much. But Pangai Jr. was solid. It was a bit of a strange game, to be fair, with Katoni just not dominating like we would have hoped. So that's that game there. In terms of my selections, the Cowboys and the Titans was an interesting one. I went fairly solidly without going amazing. It was just a low point scoring game, and you saw I went for Val Holmes. He just didn't have one of his better games, unfortunately. Aaron Clark I plugged in there, so did the winner, which was fair. Just that price point I think was solid. As a pickup. Tamalolo was there. Cotter wasn't the right pick this week. He had a bit of a lower game with them dominating, just less tackles. Tino had one of his lower games, and I plugged in Proctor at that cheap 9,000 price point as a starting second row, and he had a bunch of penalties and all the rest. So if you went, I'd stayed away from Fafita. Even the winner still had Fafita in his team. So well done to Lucky Duck, who snuck away. Definitely lucky to pick Fafita and still end up winning. Was an incredible effort. So as I said, just a very strange game, that one. All right, the Tigers and the Bunnies. So I actually went and watched this game, but this one here we had, I went for the Blake Taft cheap option, with them hoping to dominate the Tigers, and that just didn't happen. So, Nofaluma over Taft was the way to go. Johnson was great. Cook was great as well. Not having Cam Murray was annoying, but I went for the Twal, Hastings, Seyfarth and Offengawe. So, it really went well. If I just had, didn't go with Taft, I would have been in the top 50 again. But it is what it is. The Cam Murray was 72.9. And you could have plugged in and played a bunch of different guys. But Hastings was a great option at the 10,000. Seyfarth was a late start, and we know what happens when he starts. He always tackles hard and scores well. Offengawe's been great, so I'm really happy with my selections this week. Just Taff was the one that killed us, and it only takes one player to play poorly for your team to score poorly as well. All right, the Knights and the Eels to round off our second last game. And just a strange one, again, unless you went all in on the Eels guys. And even if you did, Gutho didn't have a great game. Moses was obviously a pretty important pick, and you got him at 85.8 there. So he was the one you needed, definitely, and Papali'i as well. So you had really in this game, you had to go expensive. Moses and Papali'i, I went the other way around and went for a few cheaper guys and spent a bit more in my wing fullbacks with Ponga and Gutho, which didn't work out. Randall played less minutes than he has all year. Matto was solid off the bench. Clemmer was solid as well. I went for Arthur, given he was starting and in a team that should be winning. He just didn't really do anything. So well done to Black Snake, who absolutely dominated me in this one. 108 points difference. So that's that. So I said all these guys are going to be good. It's just how you make up your team, I suppose. So happy with the selections, but that's that. In this one, we came. I paired two of the same teams. Came 12th in this one out of the lower entry mark at 733. So really happy with that. It was touch and go. I got into about 5th position at one point. So, Crichton and Edwards were the picks this week. And I thought these guys at the slightly cheaper marks rather than going for May. It just worked out for my team a little bit better. I went for Adam Elliott. So he had a solid score for what, his output was going to be in the starting 13 role. So just be aware of that, heading into an hour before kickoff. The starts for different guys is really important. Isaiah Yeo got a try. Horsburgh and Sorensen. I was pretty happy with Horse's, point scoring, but his minutes were lower than, previous, about 15 minutes lower than normal. So he could have got an extra 8 or so points, which would have helped me out. Sorensen, solid without being spectacular. We just needed one more guy in there to do well. And the winner obviously got a nice kick-out try at the end. Cleary was a must-have. We spoke about that, and Starling dominated. So well done to everyone that played this one. I was happy to get my 160 back, so come out fairly even for the week, which is completely fair. And we've got a couple of games today, which I just spoke about, that you can make some money as well. So good luck to all playing, gamble responsibly, and we'll catch you in the next videos next week. Have fun, guys.